Caught my girlfriend hooking up with my boss. What the actual fuck? I should have known the day she said we need to talk while wearing lashes that touched her eyebrows. Something felt off immediately. I wasn't even trying to go through her phone. The damn thing literally fell into my hand, like the universe wanted me to see what was really going on. The message on the screen read, "Can't wait to see you tonight." I didn't see the name, but I didn't need to. I already had a sinking feeling it wasn't some random friend. Lauren, my girlfriend of 3 years, the person I trusted more than anyone. And here she was, texting someone like this, acting like nothing was happening. I just sat there holding her phone, trying to process it. I didn't move, didn't speak. Part of me wanted to throw the phone. Part of me wanted to walk out and never come back. And part of me just wanted to understand how someone I trusted could do this right under my nose. I started scrolling through her messages, looking for a hint, anything that could make sense of this. There was nothing. Every late night she claimed to spend with friends, every call she hid, every small smile she had when she looked at her phone. It all made sense now. I realized this wasn't harmless. It wasn't just a random text or joke. It was deliberate. And whoever she was texting, they weren't just anyone. I spent hours that night thinking, trying to figure out how long this had been going on, who it was, and how I could deal with it without losing my mind. I wasn't ready to confront her yet. If I went in angry, I would ruin everything, and I needed proof. So I started paying attention, really paying attention. Every phone call, every message, every small change in behavior. And the more I observed, the clearer it became. She became secretive in ways I'd never seen before. She laughed at messages she wouldn't explain. She left the room when her phone buzzed, and she started working late or hanging out with friends more often. At first, I wanted to chalk it up to stress, but it kept adding up. At work, Carter, my boss, started acting differently too. He would give her extra attention during meetings, joke with her in ways that made me uncomfortable, and linger just a little too long when they spoke. I tried to ignore it, convincing myself I was overreacting, but deep down, I knew something was happening. The confirmation came one Friday night. I stayed late at the office preparing for a presentation, and Lauren said she would hang out with friends. I didn't question it at the time, but when I got home and scrolled through social media, I saw it. A story from one of her friends showed her at a downtown bar, smiling and leaning close to someone. It didn't take a second to recognize him. Carter, my boss. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. I just stared at the photo, taking in how comfortable she looked, how familiar they seemed, with each other. It hit me that this wasn't a mistake or a random connection. They had been seeing each other for months. I walked around the city for hours that night, trying to figure out what to do. Confronting her without evidence would have been a disaster, and I wasn't ready to involve anyone else. I needed proof, and I needed a plan. Over the next week, I documented everything. Screenshots, timestamps, social media posts, every interaction that felt off. I kept calm in front of them, pretending nothing was wrong while secretly observing, recording, and mapping everything out. I noticed the patterns clearly. Carter would pull her aside during meetings, whisper things, glance at her in ways that weren't professional. Lauren would come home later, act distracted, and try to hide her messages. One day, a coworker made a joke about how close she and Carter were, and that confirmed it. I decided to stay patient. I didn't confront anyone yet. I wanted the full picture before I made a move. I wanted to make sure that when I acted, there would be no question who was in the right. The opportunity to take control came during a big client presentation. Carter was supposed to lead, with Lauren assisting. I volunteered to take on a portion, framing it as gaining experience. But in reality, I'd prepared every answer, every statistic, and every scenario. I wanted to show them that I wasn't someone to underestimate. When the presentation began, it was clear that I was ready. Carter stumbled over a few points, Lauren faltered, and the client turned to me with questions. I answered confidently, smoothly, without drawing attention to what I knew. By the end, the client's focus had shifted entirely to me. I didn't gloat. I just stayed steady, doing my part. Afterward, HR contacted me. Someone had raised concerns about inappropriate relationships within the department. I handed over all the evidence I had gathered. Messages, timestamps, screenshots, and a detailed timeline. I explained calmly, without anger or dramatics. Within days, both Carter and Lauren were called in. Actions were taken. Carter lost authority and influence over projects, and Lauren faced consequences for her actions. People whispered and judged, and their reputations were permanently affected. At home, I didn't celebrate. I didn't feel like I had won in a dramatic way. I just felt steady, like I had finally seen the full picture and regained control over my own life. I realized how much I had ignored in the past, the late nights, secret calls, and little lies, and how obvious it all seemed now. In the following months, I focused on rebuilding. Work, friends, personal projects. I started trusting my own judgment again, paying attention to the small signs I used to overlook. I learned not to let loyalty blind me. I ran into Lauren a few months later. She smiled, pretending nothing happened. I didn't respond. Silence said more than any words could. Carter? Gone from my projects, stripped of influence. Their actions had consequences. And me? I had grown stronger, smarter, and more cautious. Betrayal cuts deep, but how you respond defines you. I responded by staying calm, documenting the truth, and reclaiming my life without losing myself. I didn't seek revenge. I didn't try to make them feel the same pain. I just made sure I didn't get hurt any further and that the truth was clear. Looking back, I realized it wasn't about punishment. It was about self-respect, about paying attention, trusting my instincts, and refusing to be blindsided again. I took the lesson life gave me and used it to rebuild. Lauren, just a chapter. Carter, a reminder that authority doesn't guarantee morality. Me? I emerged intact, stronger than I ever expected. Trust can be betrayed, but patience, observation, and self-respect are unbreakable. And now, when I think about it, I realize that every tiny detail I ignored before, the secret smiles, the hidden phone calls, the odd excuses, was all part of the lesson. Not just about them, but about me, about paying attention, protecting myself, and understanding my own value. I don't dwell on the betrayal anymore. I focus on what I can control, my life, my work, and my future. Every time I remember the shock, I smile quietly. Not out of revenge, not out of gloating, but because I survived it. And surviving it stronger than before, that's the real victory.